For the program. Yeah, well, it's really kind of a different spin on coaching. I mean, most of my coaching over the years has been one-on-one, but this is working with a group of people, and it it's kind of holding the container for not just one person to meet their specific goals and the vision that they hold for themselves, but for all the people in the group, and it's not just about me as the coach leading. It's really kind of just getting started and having generative conversations with people, and it's quite um, remarkable and fascinating to see how folks are there for one another, and will feedback what they're hearing, and just uh, normalizing or encouraging one another. So it's kind of like the conversations that are based around the topics in the program, and yet they become quickly quite uh, not so much tailored, but it's an opening for people to talk about their own journey and what they're wanting for themselves, even if they're not sure yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's been great. So you've coached it twice so far, and coming into a third round, have you seen any similarities and like the benefits that people get from the first round versus the second round, like as you're coaching, or was it like completely a unique experience for everyone, or is it like is there
Yeah, well, if I would say, I mean, of course, each person's path is going to be completely unique, and yet, what I see is the one of the key benefits is coming together and having that grouping of like-minded people who are there in a space that's non-judgmental. I think everybody can get on with that quite easily and appreciate that. And so within that um, container, then the I guess what I'm seeing the similarities that is people, they do have I guess an idea of what they might experience through the program, and then there's surprises too. For some people it's very tangible, like in one case somebody's like, well, I want to move from here to there, and there were lots of obstacles in the way, and yet it happened. Um, and for others it was more, I'm just really wanting to explore and expand on my level of knowledge, my experience of who I am in relation to spirituality, and to see where that goes. And so it really can run the gamut. I've seen that what the common thing is seeing people definitely be in a different place at the end than they were to begin with. That is absolutely a given. You have to work really hard not to.
yeah,
Mhm.
no, that's awesome. And kind of speaking of the program, like you just mentioned that there's like the information isn't necessarily unique to every person, but uh, the way that they process as a group, the dynamic does change with the group. But a lot of the people watching this might not know what the program is. And
Mhm.
so, could you briefly talk about what your spiritual like your path to spiritual satisfaction is, like what the program kind of entails?
It's a grouping of topics that are all organized around different practices and pathways people use to develop uh, their spiritual experience, their sense of themselves, and their sense of themselves in the world. And the topics were developed by Laura Abernathy, the founder, and I guess in the way that she categorized them was that there was the action categories, the contemplation categories, and the devotion categories, and they kind of akin to, body, mind, and heart, and the ways that we can bring those parts of ourselves uh, into conscious awareness as we seek on our journey to more spiritual satisfaction. Um, spiritual satisfaction may not have meaning for some people. It might not just be like what is that? But just I think it is just it's a way of kind of summing up that sense of purpose, fulfillment, uh, being aligned with what you personally believe is spirituality. It's non-denominational. It's an exploration and it's a journey.
Yeah, I think that's a key point that it's, and I, a lot of people might not understand that when we talk about like your path. I guess the name is very fitting, your path, your spiritual satisfaction, because it is your path.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it kind of just
whatever.
says it like it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, whatever you're studying, whatever you're exploring, whatever you think is the right path for you, that path is what you're going to be exploring in the program.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's not. It's like you're. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, is there a way to explain that? Maybe it's like I don't know, like you're getting a toolkit for what you're what you're learning.
Hmm.
It's not like all right, read this spiritual text, read this. It's yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that was one of the really uh, attractive aspects of the program to the people who come to it is that it is non-dogmatic. It really is a departure from any specific pathway or organized religion. It really opens us up to perhaps even considering all of them or none of them, and recognizing that there are some common elements, and getting closer to the heart of what those common elements are. And the way that it's been organized is one person's way of relating to that. Yeah, and all of the practices that are shared are, I would say, fairly basic. This is not you know really high level spirituality. I mean, it can go there, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that it really asks us is to come in with a beginner's mind. And I've seen people who have had a practice for many years come and do this and move to their next level. And yeah.
yeah. Well, that's
Hmm.
awesome. I had a thought that I wanted to write down before I forget. It's I was like I wonder if I can fit this into the marketing. It's like it's not religious studies. It's studying your religion, obviously not everyone is studying religion. It's like for the people that are like, well, I don't want to read the Torah, like I want
Hmm.
to get deeper into the Bible, like whatever their thing is, it's like that's what we're doing here. Like we're not asking you to explore kind of horizontally. We're asking you to like get deeper vertically or higher, whichever way you feel
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the platform itself is kind of horizontal. It's like, okay, so we're going to bring in, let's say, okay, there's one unit on chanting and mantras. And we talk about, well, there's all these different pathways that use this and they call them different names. And so we kind of introduce it kind of horizontally, and then there's the opportunity for each person to deepen it for themselves in their own way. Which of these ideas would you like to explore, and how are you going to do that?
yeah. Out of the two times you've done it, and maybe you've also heard testimonials from other times that it's occurred. I was wondering if there's any particular um, like case study or story about going through the program that sticks out in your mind.
Yeah. I know we've got some of those case studies on the introductory workshop, but I think there was one woman, and so when we're starting out, each person does the satisfaction assessment, and then we have a debrief and a conversation about it. And there was one woman who she'd never been involved in any kind of organized religion, and in her upbringing, that just wasn't part of um, their world, and so she had this curiosity of it. What is it that people get when they go to church? What is it that people experience when they, go to a group meditation? She just she felt like she was outside of that, and yet was a bit trepidatious about even getting involved because she had some apprehension. And so she boldly decided to come into the program, and realized by the end, this is, well, those people have nothing that I don't have. And in fact, is aside from the program that she was involved with us, she did some exploration on her own and got really into following some particular thought leaders who she really, really enjoyed. And in fact, she became our person who would have our quote for each session, and she would be, quoting from some of the other things that she was learning. And so she just kind of dove in. And you know what, she didn't, but it wasn't like she dove in. It was just, as she stepped in, it was there was a cautious embracing that was quite lovely to see at the end, and being and choosing another pathway for herself. Mhm.
That's really cool.
I guess one of the things is, some if I would say to, someone who's maybe feeling a sense of disconnection, um, perhaps longing for community that has deeper meaning, um, and yet also really supports them in having their own beliefs and, their own way of finding meaning in their life. It's a pretty safe environment. Yeah, yeah, and I think people, each person would who is considering it would recognize that there's something missing. They may not even be able to put their finger on what that missing thing is, but it could be, they could have a real clear idea of, like, I need to be surrounded by, a community of like-minded people, or um, I really just want to know the extent of my spiritual depths, or they're just feeling maybe a little bit empty, and that my life has really lost its meaning and purpose, and I'd like to find it again, or find it in a new way. And this is a really good place to explore that.
Nice. That was really cool. Hmm. And that's that. I mean, I really found that is true with the program. Um, you're growing, but because it's happening a little bit every week, it's not like that's what I was talking to Benjamin about it. It was like it's not like this grandiose like enlightenment. You know what I mean? It's like a subtle, gentle changing, like a reworking of how you view spirituality and how you practice spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like it's not one of those marketing things where it's like do this now and you'll experience. Yeah.
This is anti-hype.
Yeah.
It's anti-hype for sure. And I mean, there's deep authenticity in it. Um, yeah, no, there's no ta-da, you're enlightened. And yet, that level of step by step, kind of almost backing into the, It's like backing into this lovely, comfortable couch of who I am. And not only who I am as a person, a body, and a brain, but who I am as this being that inhabits this body. And really being okay with that. And if I think of what I personally get out of it as the one who's leading, just, holding space for, I think of it more, is to keep sustaining my own spiritual growth and development. Is we do need to bring it into our conscious forefront to keep going at it. It's so easy to get distracted by the many, many, many things that can pull us off in our busy lives. And so it's great to have that touch point, keep coming back to and coming back to. And ideally, as you continue to come back to that, that it becomes easier and easier to make that your ground point, where everything you do in life is fed by that come from place,
Mm.
and you become less distracted, less easily pulled off, unless you want to be. 'Cause
Yeah,
sometimes that's fun too.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like, yeah, yeah, life is happening, and you can think to yourself, "Oh, I'm still on my spiritual path. I'm still on my spiritual path." Until one day you don't feel like you're on that path anymore, and sometimes bringing that back consciously, like you were mentioning with this other individual, it's like, no, actually, I am on a path. There's nothing that I thought I was missing that I'm really missing. Or you come back to it and you're like, oh, this is what I was missing. Like I really needed to touch base in this specific way, and that just brings me a sense of
Yeah,
fulfillment or joy or satisfaction. And
yeah.
yeah, yeah, bringing it into the conscious to just kind of check in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And especially if we get caught up in something that's, oh, I don't know, causing us distress. And we can start feeling like, oh, woe is me. How am I going to deal with this? Or that I'm being done to kind of feeling. Or, when as our spiritual practice becomes more established, it can be more of a, hmm, what am I being shown here? What's the opportunity for me here to, you know, perceive something differently? How would I like this to turn out rather than, oh no.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
It's like being able to, I think we do a unit on gratitude for abundance. And I think, gratitude is a term that we hear a lot when it comes to spiritual practice. And from that base, when even the most unfortunate thing comes, we can say, well, what is the gift and opportunity here? What am I being called for here? What is here for me to learn? And that's a different perspective than a lot of people have.
And I think it's like you're like kind of to sum that up too. Like this program helps people do that in a safe environment.
Yeah, and we've had some people with some, I would say, neurodivergence and different challenges that have been able to participate and benefit from it quite a lot, and make some big changes in their lives that, step by step, and have them in a better situation than when they started. And I guess what I hear many people just talk about, you know, the current state of the world, and what's happening, economically, politically, all of those factors that affect us. Yes, things in the world. There's so many things in the world. At any given time, there's always going to be things that can really take us down and uh, have us perhaps lose hope, be disappointed. Uh, and yet, it's I believe, and I think there's many among us who recognize that there's an opportunity for us all to shift our consciousness and uh, collectively kind of have a ground swelling of really what is more meaningful and purposeful and aligned with the kind of world that we'd like to create. And you know, think of if we were all more satisfied and more on purpose and feeling like our lives are fulfilled. I think that feeds into us making the world a better place.